they had two living rooms. Gauss used this more or less for the surgery. And Gauss always wear white clocks and also touching his instruments. It's urea synthesis. He produced during syncoption first, and this was his really big job which he did. So he was living here, and this was also great. The children from Böhle and the children from Coucher, which means giving birth, in at that time in a lot of family the language was French, and that's why accoucher, and we still call it today accoucher house. Chemical Institute, a lot of, we have Nobel Prize winners, but we have a new commemorative plate for Julia Lermontova. She was a Russian girl, and she had a friend which was Sofia Kovalevskaya. Where the lady is going, this street, we call this street Little Paris, or the quarter Little Paris, because only poor people have been living there, and everybody was saying Gauss cannot live here. But his observatory was in the Turmstrasse, means towers, that the quarter will be demolished completely, because the houses were in a condition which were not, the authorities did not accept that there was further private housing, and so the decision was to demolish it. And in the last second, the private owner decided, no, it can't be said we destroy it completely, and she decided to renovate it. And during the renovation, they opened the backyard. It goes around the corner here. We know our history really from excavation from living. We have been, even here, I mean, you see here. Nee, da waren unterschiedliche Wirte. Das ist jetzt, glaube ich, eine dritte oder die vierte. Do you know what happens here? Yeah, I think everybody knows it. In a few words, in former times it was really only a fontaine. And around 1901, this monument came. And at that time, we just had a lot of students in the town. And at that time, each student is extended. This is the extension in this direction. In former times, this was the outer wall. But this room became too small. And then the extension was planned, and our settlers have been saying, when we do an extension, then we do want a heated room, because this hall could not be heated. And then they had a meeting in which so the rooms here, they will be higher, because underneath there is a lot of heating. And they just installed at that time a lot of heating. I will show it to you, that's why I have the key, that they had a heated room where they had their meetings. Before we go to the heating rooms, the coat of arms are coats from countries who belong, or from cities, who belong to the Hanseatic League. And you know, it was a European organization. It wasn't only Germany, you find a lot of European towns. The pictures are from a Hanoverian, and they show, and that's a bit different from other public buildings in Germany. Normally, when you come in a public building, you find always the nobles or the most important person of the town on the walls. In Goettingen, people felt free enough to say, no, when this is a municipal hall, it's a hall for the people, and therefore we do want to see on the wall only Goettingen people. And they ignored that we had a founder of university, or that we have important people who had important roles in church. No, only Goettingen people. The painter started, he came from Hanover, it's Hermann Schaffer. He referred to the times after the 30 Years' War, when Goettingen became really poor and when people had to be nourished because they were not in a position to take care for themselves. I mean, something which was and death, and of course wedding office. And by the way, in summertime we have started going next spring. In former times, it was the meeting room of the councillors, and when they had meetings, they had a table in the middle, and on each hole, which goes down to the heating facility, they had their own chair. And they really insisted having their chair on their hole, because 2 to 3 days before the meeting took place, the heating system had been heated up with wood. The ability to store heat and to release it very slowly. Those who have a good oven at home, they know this as well. And this was the perfect floor heat. When the stones were hot, I mean the air was hot. And in former times, senators, this was a very honorable and respectable job. They had. Let's get out and let's direct to the observatory, because 8 o'clock you will be expected. I will take you there. Gauss had not very good eyes. He had problems, and therefore he was really interested in getting the best optical instruments because of his eye problems. And in the backyard there were the houses of the craftsmen. Let's get through. That's a man at the end of his business life. He's sitting on his table. He has the old telephone, you see, the old one, and the old Fazit, the old calculator, and he sits relaxed and is calculating. Was it worthwhile to work all my life? By the way, these are again a backyard, and the big houses the owners have been living, and in the smaller houses the craftsmen were accommodated. And here they started to work. And this was again also privately owned, and it has been resold, and again it has been opened. That's how we try and keep our... We gave the money to build the hall, and then you look on the top of the building, you see the 4 faculty with which Goettingen started. In the middle, that's a genius of science. And on the left-hand side there's a cross for theology, the city one for medicine. On the other side, Justitia with balance for law, and the city one. And all the rest was covered under philosophy. At that time, even mathematics was under philosophy. So we started with the 4 departments. Today it's easier to tell you what you cannot do in Goettingen. That's veterinary medicine and pharmacy.
Look at that, right outside my window. My hotel room is a pigeon on a nest.